You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Hey, Shaun Preece, how are ya?
I am beautiful, sir. How are you?
You sure?
Well, to be honest, I'm getting a little bit tired. You know, it's early start, Stephen Scott. Can I say, is it time for a holiday yet?
Holiday?
A
Holiday?
vacation, I believe it's called.
Oof. Look at you getting all North American on us. No, it's not. No, I will work you till we're done.
I'm looking forward to the weekend. Let's put it that way.
Yes, I'll call you the weekend as well, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Yeah, just to annoy you. Listen, we're going to go through some emails today. We're also going to be talking about a rather delicate topic, which came to us by email. Dawd got in touch with me last year, actually, wanting to talk about a product that she was developing. It was in prototype stage at that point, and it's a device to help women, and it's essentially a way for women, blind women especially, to track their menstrual cycle. Now, you might think to yourself, well, I'm sure there must be something out there, some app or some feature. I mean, hasn't Apple adopted this into their Apple Watch? Isn't there like a tracking? Yeah, there's like a cycle tracking for women in there as well, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine if you know when your period starts.
Oh.
But that can cause a problem for a lot of people. It can also cause a lot of problems for people who don't know when the period ends. And actually, as we'll learn today, Dawd is joining us later. She talks a lot about the health risks to women who don't know about the health risks potentially to them as a result of this. So it feels a bit of a delicate topic for us because, look, we're both guys, right? I felt, a little bit uncomfortable with this topic because I don't know this area. I'm not going to pretend I do.
Yeah.
But
it needs
feels
talking
like
about.
It absolutely needs talking about. So we're going to be talking about this issue today on the show. So I think if you've got young ones in the room, you maybe want to usher them out in the second half just to, allow yourself to listen to this.
No, it's fine.
Well, no. I think it's important for people to know what's coming up in terms of the content and, let them decide if you want to, I mean, I actually do agree that this is a family conversation in a lot of ways because it's part of our bodies, right? It's important we talk about this. And as you'll hear in the interview later, I bring up with Muna the issues around us as blind people, guys and women, talking about and dealing with bodily problems. Like, for example, if we have a scar or a lump, that's one, or a lump, I'll give an example, because we can feel that, right? We know that's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But let's just, for example, say a doctor has asked me in the past, do you have blood in your urine?
Yes. I knew you were going to go there. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. And how would I know? So look, I bring this up with Muna later. It's a very interesting conversation. Check that out. It's coming up here on Double Tap. But I'm so glad we're having these conversations because this is the real stuff we live with.
Yes.
Can't hide behind it, But it does show how tech can help. And, I was even, we didn't talk about this, but I did read, I think it was last year, and I'm sure it came up around CES because it often does. Smart toilets becoming a thing, right? Very popular in Japan.
Yes.
But they're starting to become more affordable around the world, and more people are starting to get them in. In fact, someone I know got one in as a medical device in their home to aid them. And very clever, right? Cleans you, looks after you, plays you nice music, talks nice.
KFC.
No, yeah, exactly. Orders KFC. That'd be nice.
I don't need to get married anymore. It's fine.
I'm never going to leave the house again. So, you got all this stuff going on, but also they're building in sensors so that it can almost, manage or, well, at least watch your health, as you go through. So that question about blood in the urine would be answered by the device. It would know, it would be able to detect.
Yeah, I've read about this before about smart toilets, and smart toilets is almost one of those throwaway comedy lines, right? Smart toilets.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
But actually, when you dig down into it, there is some actual.
I'd rather not.
No, yeah, exactly. But no, there's some medical reasons why actually this is a good idea because, like you said, I would have no idea. A doctor has asked me the same thing. Oh.
Yeah, no idea. And so it's a great topic today. So that's coming up a bit later. First, though, we're going to get to the emails, and we're going to kick right in with a topic. I know that this comes up a lot. We talk about pricing on the show, and everyone gets all upset about pricing. But Darren has a specific issue around pricing that he wants to share with us.
Hi, team. I know this is an old and much aired grievance, but the totally unfair pricing of stuff like this drives me to distraction. The new iPhone 16 basic model will cost our American cousins $799, whilst we in the UK will have to pay £799. A quick currency conversion tells me that that's the equivalent of $1,045. $799 should be approximately £610, but oh no, that's not seen as fair. Charging us an extra $245 though is absolutely fine. I know, that's just the way it is, but boy oh boy does it pickle my onions. $1,045 for an $800 phone? Sheesh. Darren, in Northern Ireland, still wandering the house muttering incoherently to himself about the unfairness of international pricing.
Can I just say, Laura, what an amazing job you do on reading those emails out. It was fantastic.
I love the fact that our emails are read by Laura. Not by AI. She's not an AI. She's a real human being. AI wouldn't deliver that kind of content, let me tell you.
Do you disagree?
No, I don't. I still don't understand the pricing, the way it works. I don't know if this is can the country itself have an impact on this? Can it decide? Is that how it works?
With interest rate? I mean, I'm not an economist.
No,
I don't know.
understand.
Is this to do with conversion rates? Is this? I have no idea. But I absolutely agree, because this never was the case before. And now all of a sudden, instead of the price changing, all we do is change the currency symbol in front of the numbers. And for some reason, we've seemed to have just gone, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
How has this become the norm? Because it never was before.
There's one difference in the UK to Canada, for example, or even the US, which is that sales tax is not included in North America, which is kind of weird to us, because when I go traveling and I'm abroad, I think, oh, that's a great price. And they go, yeah, plus whatever sales tax, and you got to add 12% or 15%, depending on where you are.
Is that part of it?
No. So that price you're seeing will not include the local sales tax in your state or area. So that will be an addition to that cost. Whereas in the UK, the price you see is the price you pay. So, if that's £799, that is what you're paying in store. Whereas it'll be $799 plus whatever your sales tax is in your area. So that
doesn't quite
have an impact.
Out, though, right?
No, it doesn't. But, it does. It also shows that, well, I don't know. I mean, the problem is it depends on which day you catch the currency. It's all up and down. So it's very hard to know. And of course, different in Canada, again, with different rates and all the rest of it.
Yep.
So, yeah, but it pickles my onions as well. I love that phrase. I'm going to use that every day now. My onions are pickled.
Thank you very much.
I want a jingle with onions are pickled.
Yeah, we'll
somehow.
get Rob
Can
on
we get
it.
that done? Yeah. Sarah's been in touch to talk about Safari extensions.
Hey guys, I can't remember exactly when, but a while back you were talking about how annoying it is to browse Safari with all the pop-ups, ads, and those annoying cookies. No, not the yummy chocolate chip cookies. Those are awesome. But the irritating internet ones that show up on every site. I know a couple of good options. One is called Bolt, and the other is Hush, which is more like a cookie blocker. Both are Safari extensions and definitely make browsing way smoother and less of a headache. Oh, and about Anker accessories. I'm a big fan of the brand. I travel a bit, and I've got this little cube that charges my iPhone, AirPods, and Apple Watch all at once. It's super handy and compact. I think Anker gives great value for the price. Congrats on another season of Double Tap. Oh, Stephen, I hope your dog is feeling better and hasn't eaten any more white or black socks. Or, well, any socks at all. Take care. Sarah von Glaschnapp.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, the dog is fine. We did catch him with that. Yes, thank you. We did catch him with a receipt in his mouth the other day. I don't know if that was a suggestion that perhaps we should now take him back to his breeder, which I was suggesting to my wife last night. That didn't go down too well. Neither did the receipt, but thankfully he didn't eat it, which is good news.
The receipt's fine. We're talking a paper receipt, right?
Oh, yeah.
Not,
he did eat a bandage. He had a
iPhone.
bandage on his leg after going to get an X-ray to make sure he hadn't eaten anything else, and then he ate the bandage. And when he came home, and I thought, this is just getting ridiculous. This dog is a one dog stand-up show. I mean, this is
Are you sure
ridiculous.
it's a dog, not a goat? Have you checked for horns?
I don't know. Mark of the beast. Yes. So hang on a minute. Hush and Bolt. Safari
Hush and
extensions
Bolt.
to get rid of cookies.
No.
Bye-bye.
Sarah, that was your fault.
I was so tempted to play that in the middle, but I didn't want to interrupt or Laura or indeed your email.
Do you know what? I haven't played with extensions in Safari at all.
Oh,
I
neither
actually
have I.
just kind of forgot about them.
I know.
I would love a little demo there if anyone wants to do a screen recording on their iPhone of,
do you know
using
what?
an extension.
I might do that because Safari, that's my thing.
That's your ting.
That's my ting. So I would be happy to try that out.
Very
Mhm.
good. Yeah. No, but thank you for the recommendations. I honestly wouldn't know where to start with that. So
Where do
very
you get
interesting.
Safari extensions?
Pardon?
Where do you get them? Do you just
From-
Google it?
That's
Is that how it works?
The
I don't know.
Safari shop.
This is a Safari shop. Cool. Can I buy beachwear?
Yes. I have no. Honestly, I have no idea.
Is that the same
Never-
shop that sells the Donald Trump beach balls?
Yes. This it is. Yes. Stop it. Thanks,
Oh.
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Move on.
Do you know, only reason I know about the Donald Trump beach balls is because when we're on AMI today with Jacob promoting the show, just before us, we have Mike Ross, who reads on the Guardian newspaper,
Yes.
and he was talking about the Donald Trump beach balls. I didn't Google it. I didn't go near it. This is a test, actually. This is a little test today. Because this is not a scientific experiment. I just decided it right there. But I am going to see later if that appears on my Facebook feed, and if it does, it's listening to everything.
Is it? That's the test. So you haven't Googled it. You promising me you've never Googled it?
I've never Googled that. Donald Trump beach balls. Never Googled it, but I've said it now 3 times.
Oh,
So
he will appear.
Beetlejuice. Have I Beetlejuiced this? We shall see. Maybe that's how it works.
Well, there's the episode title. Okay.
And Anker, yes. Well, fun enough, Dawn also has a comment on Anker accessories.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun from Dawn.
Oh.
Stephen, I bought a new MagGo foldable wireless charger from Anker. It's just brilliant. I have an old pair of AirPods, which for some reason I can't get to Bluetooth back to my iPhone 15 Pro. But anyway, I want a pair of the AirPods Pro 2 after all I've heard of the things coming from iOS 18. Thanks for the recommendation.
Well, I'm happy to mention it. It was.
So you quite surprised, didn't it?
I'm not used to being thanked for something. I'm used to being shouted at. Okay, thank you. No, thank you, Don. I appreciate that because look, I mean, I think that Anker do actually produce some brilliant accessories. And again, I'm all about safety, not like Sean over there, which with I don't know what. I bought this thing. What's the brand name on it? It's
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It works really
exactly.
well.
Who knows? All I know is it smokes by itself. That's all I know. Okay.
A smoke machine and a charger. Wow, it's a
how
bargain.
cool. 2 in
No,
1.
I totally agree. I love Anker stuff as well. I just think the quality is really good and the price point is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Elliot has been in touch with us. He wants to talk about Sky. So this is the broadcasting service in the UK, delivered over satellite, and also they now have a streaming version of this called Sky Glass and Sky Stream, and that is the one that Elliot decided to go and get. So here's his comments on that.
Hi, Double Tappers. I recently switched from Sky Q to Sky Stream here in the UK and was just wondering if anyone else has tried Sky's new set-top box, and if so, what are their thoughts? On initial use, the voice guidance does seem to have improved slightly from Sky Q, although that's probably not saying much. It does seem to read out more of the settings menus, which is helpful, and you can change the narration speed to a small degree. I am having some issues with the audio description not always being turned on automatically for live channels, even though it is turned on in the accessibility settings. And as has been discussed before, Sky currently offer no on-demand or catch-up content with audio description, which is quite frankly disgraceful in my opinion.
Right.
Unlike Sky Q, you can't record programs, but if they do eventually sort out AD on demand, I think the Sky Stream set-top box could be a great option. The big word here, though, is if. They have been promising AD on demand for a long time now, and there is still nothing either for their own content or for films purchased via the Sky Store. I've only had Sky Stream for a couple of days on a trial basis, so would be interested to know if anyone else has made the switch, and if so, what they think. Keep up the great work, guys. Elliot, from a slightly chilly Poole.
Oh, it's always chilly, or sometimes it's sunny in Poole.
Is it? I can't remember last time it was sunny.
What, anywhere or
Anyway,
just
yes, anywhere
in Poole?
in my life. Wow,
yeah.
that took a downturn. Anyway, Sky Stream. Stephen, you are the Sky expert. You're one of those posh people with Sky.
It used to be a thing. Remember the days you just almost...
Satellite.
Yeah, I remember this thing when I was a kid. If you had satellite, you had money.
Yeah, of course. Still the
And
case. That's what I say.
Do you think so?
Yes.
I don't know if that's the case anymore. And of course, the interesting thing is that these satellite companies are moving away from satellite now. Instead, it's kind of they've become the cord cutters themselves. Because where before it was, you had satellite broadcasting, they're moving away now to much more focused on demand. And it seems to me as if we're on that move away from live TV.
Which is entirely the point, though.
There's channels, it's just going to be on-demand programming. You just go off and watch what you want, when you want.
And it sort of does away with the need for a PVR, a personal video recorder, built in, because, hey, you just stream it wherever. But I've got to say it, and you may cut me down when you give me your experience of this. Have you used SkyStream?
I've not. I didn't go down this road because of the issues I've had with Sky Q.
They've moved to a digital platform. This is digital platform. They're doing away with the satellite dishes on the side of your house. This is purely a digital platform.
This is entirely on. This only requires broadband.
Yeah, and yet we're still saying, it's, the screen reader is okay. That is disgraceful. I'm sorry. Why is that still acceptable? Well, okay, it reads most things. I'm talking to Sky directly here. This needs to be sorted out before you roll out. And it's not the first time I've heard about this. And we talk about Q and Sky Glass as well. People have said that's got issues as well. Why is it that accessibility isn't taken seriously? It's a huge company, absolutely huge. And look, AD is another story we can talk about. But when it comes to actually the accessibility of the system you're using, to have it not being 100% accessible, it's disgraceful. There, I've said.
So I've got a bugbear about this, and I've got a bugbear about it because I talk about it all the time, the audio description challenges and the on-demand and all of that, and that is, as Elliot has put articulately, and I've said in the past, it's frankly a disgrace that we're at this point where the programming they have is not available on demand with audio description. And it's actually highlighted even worse with SkyStream because the only way you can access recorded content is on demand. So you don't have the linear channel. You have the linear channel to watch, but then suddenly blind people are thrust back 30 years where you have to sit down at 7 o'clock and watch the show you want to watch on that day because you can't watch it on demand with your method of viewing it, which in our case is audio description, because it's not available with that audio description on demand. So the only way with SkyStream and Sky Glass to watch the show is live when it's on. That's it.
Yeah,
because and just to clarify this for people, because I get so many people who come back to me and say, yeah, but it's available on demand. You don't record it. It's just available. You press the button or whatever, and suddenly it appears. I get it, but the problem is the version that's on demand is not the one that's being streamed. So the one that you're getting doesn't have the audio description feed. That's the point. So you cannot watch it on demand at all.
No.
And that's a disgrace. But look, I have another bugbear in this. I've talked about this a lot, but
I want
to take this on a level because I want to also challenge the organizations that represent blind people here. There is so much talk. I see so many social media posts going after people who have an alt text a Taylor Swift image, or going after people to say, hey, it's National Donut Day, get your eyes tested. Oh, that's important stuff. I get it. But so is access to content. And I've been going on about this now on this show for years, and nothing has changed. Nothing. And I have had no support from any organization in this country pushing along with this. That's a disgrace as well.
Yep.
That is just a disgrace, because why are these organizations... And look, I don't want to hear, we're working in the background, we're having chats.
Yeah.
Get the chat out in the open. Shame them. It's not good enough anymore. I'm sorry, it's not good enough, because clearly nothing is happening with all your little cozy chats. It's not turning into anything. I still today turn on my voice guidance on my it's always on my Sky Q box, and when I go into it, the hints are on. So it means when you go through the menu, every time you go to something, it gives you this list of instructions what you need to do next. Now you can turn the hints off. So I go in and into my settings, which is deep within the settings, into accessibility, turn off the hints. And then the next day, they're back on again. The voice guidance only reads some of the system. There are helpful tags that tell me when I go to a part of the system that is not accessible. You cannot use voice guidance in this area. Okay, cool. So I can't manage my recordings. I can't use any of the apps. I can't use voice guidance in any of those places. It's 2024. It's not good enough.
Absolutely.
Now, on top of that, sorry, just you're on. I'm on one now.
Go on, carry on.
The only thing I will say, the only thing I'll say to Sky is that it's the only one that's actually bothered to do this. Now, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, as I'm making clear, but they've done something. Virgin have nothing. That's another provider in the UK, a cable provider. Nothing, as far as I'm aware, at all in their set-top box to manage it accessibly. They may have an app. I don't know how it works, but they don't have a screen reader on there. And it's just like, seriously?
Yeah.
You wonder why so many blind people I speak to today say, do you know what? I gave up on TV a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't watch it.
I have.
I don't watch the TV. And it's so infuriating because the work is being done to make it accessible and no one's bothering to make it accessible to us.
Steady now. Take a break, sir. Take a breath. But
irritates me.
Absolutely right. And the thing is, we're so patient as a community. How many
not
times?
Anymore.
And when that accessibility first came into we're going to use Sky, but I'm sure no matter where you are in the world, you know a cable provider or whatever it may be, which is exactly the same. Oh look, we've brought accessibility. There's a screen reader available now, and we said, you know what, it's such a shame it took this long, but we're happy to see it. But then it seems to just, well, that's it. We've ticked that box. Well, what about this doesn't work properly? What about this area where it's not available at all? Where's the ongoing work? Either accessibility is important to you or it's not.
When I did the interview, and it was 2021, I remember talking to Sky.
Yeah.
They were on the show. We did the Blind Guy Talks Tech thing for a while. And they were on there. They came on and they talked to me about what they'd done and what they'd done with this. And a lot of people said to me at the time, we shouldn't be proud about this. We shouldn't be pleased about this. We should be jumping up and down on their heads for why it took so long. And I said at the time, look, sometimes it's better to just be late to the party than not turn up at all. And I stood by that in 2021. But it's now 2024, and literally not one update has come along to improve voice guidance and all the bugs that were there at the very beginning in 2021. Yes. 3 years has passed and nothing has improved. Yeah. Now, and just to give some international context here, the reason Sky Q in the UK has a screen reader in it is because the company that own them is Comcast. And Comcast, as we know, have the Infinity Box, which they put work into to make accessible. And essentially that work was carried on into Sky Q and then onto Sky Stream and Sky Glass and the products in the UK. It came from Comcast. And I don't know what Comcast is like in comparison. I'd be intrigued to know from any users out there who are using this box, which, by the way, I do believe you have to pay a premium to get that particular box, which has that functionality. Is that?
Yeah, you got to pay for accessibility.
Because it's in like a more powerful box or whatever.
Yeah, the premium version or whatever it may be.
So if anyone's using it, do tell us. But I don't know, it's such a frustration. And it doesn't surprise me that websites exist for people just to consume content as they wish. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Because honestly, why would you bother? Why would you bother trying? Why are we paying all this money?
No.
For what? And it's not like being a customer makes a difference. No. It's not like loyalty makes a difference.
You know what makes a difference? Legislation. It's the only way you're going to do it.
And actually, and that's why
time and time.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen, because in the UK there was a law passed last year, which I think said by the end of this year, these companies had to have an amount of their content available on demand in the same way they did the amount of content for audio description on linear TV. The same rules apply for on demand. And I think at the moment the number, not the legislation number, but the amount of on-demand content is 9% on average on demand. And that's all the various platforms put together. Shocking. 9% of all content.
Yeah.
That is hopefully going to get pushed up and would be pushed up. And it's not like, here's the thing. And again, I've said this and I'm so sick of repeating myself on this, but I feel I need to. The amount of content, especially by Sky, that has been done already. Do you know who I feel sorry for? I feel sorry for the people who work their backsides off making sure that that content is audio described. I know, because I had a conversation with someone who was involved in audio describing Game of Thrones, and the work that went into making that happen so it was available on the first play, because it was playing on like a Sunday night or something in the US, and then by the time it broadcast here, the first play was like 2 a.m. And there were people up all night working on that with like 2 hours to create the audio description track, get it put in place, and make it happen. I remember having the conversation with someone who did that, and it was like they had to wallpaper up the windows in the studio because, you know, HBO wouldn't let them have access. No one else but this one person could have access to the video content before it went out on air. So this person had to do all this work in the background and, you know, like shadowy room and all this, and then, you know, create the track so that it could broadcast at 2 a.m. The amount of work that went into that. And all I want is that work made available to me when I want to watch it. That's it. You've done the job. Just make it accessible.
Yeah, but again, that's we're talking about audio description there, but it doesn't even matter because in Elliot's case there, sometimes the setting forgets that you've got audio description turned on as your default track.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, even if it has audio description, well, the operating system might say, well, I don't feel like it today. There's two things here, and you need legislation for both. All operating systems, all devices should be accessible.
The only way to solve this, you're right, is legislation, but it's also to go further than that. It's to start finding these companies. If it's not accessible, we've got to find them. There has to be something that hits them. It's not enough for us all to quit our Sky contracts or, you know, leave the platform or whatever. It's not enough. It's not doing it. Because being a customer and giving them money doesn't mean anything. Leaving them is not going to mean anything because they'll just say, well, that's the end of that. They're all gone.
Yeah.
And actually that makes the whole thing worse. I mean, I use the Twitter example as a good example of that. If you're not in the room, you can't make any difference. And that's the same for anything. You know, all these people that left Twitter, I'm leaving Twitter because it's full of this, but yeah, whatever. You know, you're now no longer part of the conversation. Bye-bye.
It's called X, by the way. Hello, Elon.
No, it's not. Not in this house. Not in my house. But no, just honestly, it just infuriates me so much. And Elliot, I appreciate the email, and I know Elliot has been working at his end as well. And I know there's lots of conversations going on, and I know there's lots of stuff happening in the background. But even so, I'm sorry, it's just not good enough.
It's
not good enough.
Yeah.
Action has to happen.
In general, Elliot, I think we agree with you.
Yeah, I think we do. Right, stick around. Wow. Coming up next, we're going to have a very interesting conversation about a very different topic. Stick around. If you want to get involved with the show, here's how.
Call the Double Tappers now, 1-877-803-4567, or email us, feedback@doubletaponair.com.
Now, getting access to accessible feminine hygiene products is a real challenge for many blind women out there. And of course, when you add on the stigma and the taboo around menstrual health, you can really see a problem emerge for many blind women. Well, that is where technology can help. And one company that is starting up to try and solve this problem is Flowsense. Muna Dawd is with me now to tell me more. Muna, welcome to Double Tap.
Thank you so much for hosting me, Stephen. It's been great to,
Yeah, brilliant to talk to you. Okay, first off, tell us about Flowsense. What is it?
Yeah, Flowsense is a journey companion for menstrual empowerment. It's a product designed with a deep understanding of the unique challenges faced by visually impaired women who struggle to differentiate between period blood and other vaginal fluids. And it's basically a accessible period blood detection device for at-home testing. And our goal is to empower women by providing them with a reliable, non-invasive, and discreet solution that can offer detection as well as cycle tracking and overall menstrual health education.
Yeah, a lot to unpack here because this is a big topic and an issue that clearly affects, arguably disproportionately, blind women and women who are low vision as well. So I want to ask you how you came to the idea that this was needed. Where did the inspiration come from for this?
Yeah, I would say the inspiration was it was a different elements like my own personal challenges with menstrual health. I've been dealing with endometriosis for a while, and I was always curious about designing solutions that have a greater impact, but specifically for women, and then could based coming from my background in innovation and design, I've always been working on accessible design, and I realized the huge gap in menstrual health products for visually impaired women. That has motivated me to combine both my personal experiences, my passion for women's health, and a deeper desire to really want it to make a huge difference. And so I started the project with Flowsense, having no idea that I was going to work specifically on menstrual hygiene, but just an overall, just, you know, diving into the topic and seeing what is a possible lack of innovation and need for impact.
Yeah, our lives are very similar. Actually, you follow what you know, don't you? You follow your, and oftentimes that's when the best results happen, isn't it? When you follow your own knowledge, your own experiences, and you put, as you've said, these two experiences together, these two skills essentially together, and you come up with this incredible product. So, what was your first experience with blind people in this? Because are you blind yourself? Are you low vision yourself?
No, I'm not visually impaired, but I had to work with visually impaired women for this project, um, and I was really careful about not adding my biased opinion, although it's great to have multiple perspective into like when you're creating a product. But I think it was like a huge learning curve, and also knowing what instead of me coming up with a solution that I could say this works for everyone, what's really rewarding was being able to work with as many as women as I can, and I gathered input from both visually impaired women as well as visually abled women, and that had really striked into what the whole component and like the features of the product, the um, different themes that it needs, whether it's hygiene, whether it's tracking. I try to make it accessible and and well-rounded to fit the needs of the majority of people.
Okay, so as much as you can tell us here, because obviously I know it's a delicate topic for many, and I understand that, but it's important to understand how this works. So can you talk us through the product?
Yeah, absolutely. So um, the product encompasses a portable handle device and a charging docking station that also acts as a cleaning kit. So the functionality of it is that the product detects period blood versus discharge, for example, and the user would have to use it in the beginning of their cycle, right before their cycle starts, like 3 to 4 days, and then at the end to confirm the detection of period blood. So the portable part of the device, the part that contains um, testing strips, they are disposable. And so what the user would do is they would easily swab it onto sanitary pads or underwear or directly onto the skin, um, making sure that the part that they're swiping has the testing strip. And then what happens is that they can push a button, and that would detect the menstrual changes with the help of a sensor that would analyze the input. And for help with like getting the result through discreteness, if you push the button, it would vibrate 3 times, telling you this is menstrual blood versus 1 or 2 vibration telling you that this is not. Um, and so while it's doing that detection, um, it is also recording your data. It's letting you know that this is the first day of your cycle, second day of your cycle, and it gives that customized algorithm. And so it's a very small, compact, portable device. It fits into, your pack. It's easy to use. And the charging docking station that would act as a vanity-like wireless product. And the results are also linked through an app. There's an audio accessible app that can also track the cycle and provide menstrual health education to the user, educating them about different phases of their menstrual cycle, and just overall keeping a bit more well-rounded perspective into the whole process of menstrual health.
When I was reading up on Flowsense, I was also reminded of the fact that the Apple Watch recently was or had a
Hmm.
feature added to it where you could cycle track. You could track
Right.
those menstrual
Yeah.
cycles, which is great. But I guess you need to know when it starts, and that's the challenge for a lot of blind women. Now, actually, again, in talking before this interview to friends of mine and to my own wife as well,
Hmm.
who is also visually impaired, she said to me, "Well, hang on a minute. There are ways women can tell the difference. There are
Right.
ways we know." Are you suggesting, however, there are challenges with that actually maybe
Hmm.
people wouldn't know, that actually visually, if you can't see the spotting, for example, you wouldn't know necessarily that's the case. There wouldn't be, for example, a smell or something that would give it away.
Right. So I think it's very interesting, like how the woman's body, um, with our hormonal changes from a cycle to a cycle, a majority of women can predict when the cycle is about to start, but when that happens, it's already starting. Whether you're getting a little bit of cramps right before it starts or you're getting cramps on the day of, I think the key here for a visually impaired woman is that yes, she might feel some symptoms that it's about to start. It might not be very accurate into what day it is. For example, I do, and I think a lot of women have a app for cycle tracking, and that really gives me the peace of mind. I know 3 to 4 days before it starts that it's gonna come around that day, and it's pretty accurate. The problem is those apps are not accessible. And so what Flowsense is doing is that it's giving the user, a visually impaired woman, an accessible means of knowing specifically when it starts for her, as well as keeping her current routine. So a lot of visually impaired women would either smell or feel the texture, and many of them, if they're not sure, they would have to ask someone and rely on that close relationship they have with other people to just, hey, double check, is this the period? So FlowSense is trying to take away that reliance on others and giving the user empowerment and confidence to knowing that for themselves, knowing that this is the period versus discharge. And so that I think the trickiest part is, although there could be um, different cues that helps different people, whether it's smell or texture or asking someone or, feeling a bit of cramps, I think there's still a lack of independence. Um, and FlowSense is giving the user that empowerment, where while you're detecting, it's going to at the same time track your cycle. So you don't have to do something out of your way to record your cycle on an app. It's already fitted nicely into the routine. And instead of showing it to someone, you do it and you figure out if it's your period um, that had started. And so the other thing that it really, I think it's like it overall, it's not just an hygiene and tracking solution. It's also giving a empowerment and mental well-being to those women who don't necessarily have to constantly worry about when it's coming, and having that mental well-being already covered for you. I think it really improves the quality of life, and also the and in terms of like health standards, um, having to wear pads multiple times, multiple days before the cycle starts or the after it ends, and not knowing when it ends, I think that has a huge health implications because it can increase sanitary infections, and or it could be very irritating to be using sanitary pads when you don't need it. So it is a very well-rounded solution that I feel like it goes beyond just detection, for sure.
That's very interesting because look, I'm the guy here, right, who knows nothing about any of this stuff, and I try to educate myself as much as possible, and I do that by listening to women, right, because you know best. So what do I know? But it's fascinating to me because I guess there are thoughts that run through my mind, like for example, well, I guess you could just wear a pad for a few more days either side just to be sure, but I didn't even consider that fact that that could have an impact on health as well. It doesn't even factor. But I also think about when you talk about the need for tracking and knowing. I also think about those younger blind women who perhaps don't know when things are starting in their lives. That can be a very, for any woman, becoming a woman essentially. Moving from being a girl to a woman, arguably, is the phrase we used to use. I think that can be a very difficult time, and if you add blindness to that, and the embarrassment, the fear of talking about it, everything that every woman experiences, but now add to that the inability to know or see any of this, it must be terrifying. So I guess a product like this can really empower people to feel confident about themselves and their body.
Yeah, and I think the lack of innovation and accessibility into the feminine market adds into the ongoing menstruation stigma around periods. Um, I think it was very eye-opening when I first was researching the topic and just asking the women, can you please tell me your menstrual hygiene routine? That question was like, am I allowed to ask? Even for myself, when it's like a woman to a woman, I just want to know, like, do you need help with that? Like how, because we spend 30 to 40 of our lives menstruating. It's a huge part of your life that, it's one-time event, and I don't think that should really like lower your quality of life, and it's an important huge part of our life. Like we focus so much on reproductive health, um, or infertility, and the like menstrual hygiene and menstrual health is just like a core part of being a woman. And so yeah, even for myself, when I was first asking those questions during the research, it was like I went into completely having no idea, and I could tell those questions were throwing off people. Sometimes we're like, oh, no one really asked me that question,
Yeah, I
right?
was going to say no one's ever asked. No one's ever
Right.
asked the question
Yeah.
before, and
Yeah.
it's a fear. It combines so many aspects. Look, I think there are people out there who probably believe. I mean, I say this as a guy from my perspective. I know there are plenty of people I've met over the years who can't even imagine blind people having sex. So the idea that we even have organs that we can. I think there's some people who think we're Ken dolls, and it's just, I honestly think that's how people think, because there's just this sense of we just don't even want to think about that at all. So just shut our minds off to it, which is probably why there's been no innovation in this space until you've come along. I mean, it's kind of, that would obviously be one of the questions I would guess a mainstream tech journalist would ask you. Why has this never been done before? And the answer is, I guess, simply because no one will talk about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I think for a huge part after I've created the product was like focusing more on awareness. I spent more time talking about it and educating users, and mm, like telling people that there is a huge need for Flowsense. Um, rather, it's very unique. It hasn't been done before, and I consider it, well, the world's first period blood detection device that's commercially available. So we and it's very rewarding at the same time to be at the front of innovation and accessibility for women. Um, and I think this Flowsense is just one of many, many other solutions that are well needed for everyone. And I really hope that it does give people the light bulb to want to create more products that could help others as well.
Yeah, I feel on this show we talk about issues all the time, and issues that surprise people, and we know we have many sighted people who watch and listen to us. And, oftentimes I'll hear people say, I had a real aha moment. It feels like the Oprah show sometimes. You get that aha moment of, wow, I never knew about this. I never considered that. And it might be, the idea of a blind person using a smartphone just blows their mind.
Mm-hmm.
This topic will completely blow their mind because they would never have considered it. And even if they had considered it, they would never consider how blind women would deal with this issue. So, this is something which I think it surprised me because I didn't realize there was nothing else out there at this point that was doing this. Now, let's get a little bit technical if we can, because this app that you talk about, what I'm thinking about is that cycle tracking app on the Apple Watch, for example, which is also, I think, on the iPhone as well, and I'm sure Android is similar. Does the data from your Flowsense, does it go into Apple Health? I mean, can you essentially combine all of this together? Is that something you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely, you can combine the data to fit in nicely in an existing product. It's very um, manageable to do that, and it gives users more customization. They don't need to just use the app. And like I say, there are already app tracking for women, um, but they're not accessible. So that's the key here. I think Flowsense, the current product, it does come with its own audio accessible app, and the beauty of it is that the user doesn't need to necessarily go into the Apple Watch or go into the other apps and record their data. This is the first day, because this is what I do it when I use those apps. Like, I have to record the first day and the last day, and sometimes you forget to record the end because you're like, oh,
Absolutely.
I'm done with it.
Yeah, and you're busy, right? You've got other things going on.
Right. Yeah, and so it is a two-in-one solution. So yes, you can add the data to your other tracking devices, but it's already doing that for you when you're using the product, because when you're testing in the beginning of your cycle, you're like, oh, today's the first day. You know that, but the device feeds off that results to the app and it records it for you. So you don't need to go out of your way to record what day it is. Um, and well, it's the product also, when you're reaching the end of the cycle, you would repeat that detection process again because you want to find out if it's over or not. And then if it detects that there's no presence of menstrual blood, then it's going to record that day. And so that is really nice because it's just like, while your concern is detection, it's going to also give you that option to track. And it's going to give you a personalized algorithm where it knows your cycle, like whether it's 3 days, 4 days. I think I was looking into research for this, and um, actually, it's reported that visually impaired women overestimate their cycle period. They would, if it's like a 7 day, they would, for example, they would, or I mean, sorry, if it's like a 4 day, they will say it's a 5, 6 day. And it's because it's hard. Like, how would you know when it's reaching the end if it's there or not? So,
And it's the last few, I guess, the last day or even the last 2 days,
right.
where you may not be able to tell in any other way except visually that it's done. You wouldn't know otherwise. So that's where this device obviously can make the difference.
Right.
It's obvious that smart tech is going to, and it is already becoming part of our everyday lives. I think about my smart scales that I use and the smart blood pressure monitor I've got, and how all that feeds into my apps and feeds into my overall health and lets me be more aware of me and my life and my health and all the rest of it. And although most of the time when I stand on the scales, I just get big flashing alerts saying, for goodness sake, enough for the KFC. But, the thing is, I think it's great that this stuff exists. I also think what you're building here has got immense potential, as you imagine will have already considered this, that it's, the potential to go much further. I mean, I give you one example, which was a doctor who once asked me, and thankfully there was nothing to be concerned with in my case, but, there was a doctor who asked me on a medical visit whether or not I had blood in my urine. And I couldn't answer the question. I wouldn't know. I would have no way of knowing that, except, let's be brutally honest, taking a picture and showing it to the doctor, which doesn't feel great.
Right.
I don't want to
Yeah.
have that picture on my phone, you know?
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing. I guess it's part of this kind of way of we having to find our way to do this differently, which in some ways is not the nicest way to do it. Doesn't feel very private. And I'm not suggesting for a second this is the same thing, but it amounts to the same thing, which is that, you know, we are wanting to be healthy people, and there could be things happening around us we are unaware of that could be
Right.
causing us problems, but we don't know because we can't see the problem. And this is where I guess something like Flowsense could you know, absolutely take on that job.
Yeah, no, I it's thank you for sharing that. I think like you said, the opportunities are all fast. Um, and I also considered adding visually abled women into the product, and this is a great idea, like later on in the when I scale it up, because um, so many women already using vaginal health monitoring products like pH test strips or um, and so it could be that the product could work for them as well, because while it's doing the detection, it's also helping the user know what's their level of pH. Sometimes you don't need to go to the doctor, you just want to find out what exactly it is, and just if you're experiencing symptoms like itchiness or your UTI or all of that, right? So it's not replacing the job of the doctor, but it can give you that simple cue to like knowing where your balance is at. And I think I mean, it's already that process is already embedded in the current design. So it's like two in one. And so I think um, adding tech into sometimes tech can overcomplicate our lives, but in this situation, I feel like it can very simplify it. Um, and if it works for everyone, having an inclusive solution, I think it's what the future should be like.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. What's the take up then? So where are you at with this product?
Mhm.
How soon will it come to market?
Yeah, so it's very exciting. I've been working on Flowsense for about a year, and as I was mentioning earlier, the first year was like patting in the technology, which it's exciting that it's going to be granted in the next few months in the UK, and I've been more focused on the awareness and going to conferences. We had an amazing trip to Japan where Flowsense was invited to the Japanese Parliament um, um, to speak about accessibility design. Um, and recently, um, we won the London Mayor's Entrepreneurship Program, which is a really great for recent startups, early businesses that are coming out of universities. And just now we had um, been able to get an award from the UK Innovate Grant, which is a grant that's focused on design and innovation and user testing. So currently, right now, we will be doing a 6-month research project with a um, London-based charity called I Matter. Um, and where we'll be affiliated also with RNIP, the Royal Institute of Blind People in the UK, and try to recruit as many women as we can for the next coming 6 months while this project is being funded by the UK Innovate Grant, and redevelop our product and see what different features are we going to change. We do have a minimal viable product, but we need to test it with a like intensely with wider ranges of users. Um, and we're predicting that by the end of the 6 month, hopefully by next summer, I think we're looking into like next summer, that's when we're gonna start manufacturing. So I would say product launch could be around end of next year, which is very exciting. We might um, accelerate it a little bit earlier, maybe in around the fall of next year. But I would say we want to spend as much time as we can to work on the development, and have a strong commercial scalability before launching it. Yeah. So, which for me as a designer engineer, this is my favorite part of the business. Getting hands-on, being able to talk with the women one-on-one, and seeing like a rebirth to Flowsense. And having a growth in the team as well to consult with so many experts to bring this idea to life. Yeah.
Muna, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us on Double Tap. Good luck with
Absolutely.
Flowsense.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you. And I hope we will be able to chat again in the future.
A delicate but I think important conversation to have, Shaun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not even sure it's a delicate conversation. Like, it's just part of life, right? It's just part of being a human being. I think we shouldn't be ashamed about this at all.
Human beings? How dare you? Don't you know it's artificial intelligence and robots now?
Yeah, is there a term for that? I don't know now. It's not sexism. I don't know what it is, but yes, humanism.
Robotism. That'll be the new word. There'll be something, I'm sure. AIism. That doesn't work, does it?
Dear.
Anyway, that is it for us for this week. We're back on Monday. Don't forget the website is available 24/7. Unless something happens, some kind of crowd strike attack or something. You can find it, doubletaponair.com. We're back Monday. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.